every time when they come on the radio and say this and say that, never a single word about the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Well, I would dare suggest that that is because that is inconvenient. The realities of the Constitution are inconvenient for them and the narrative that they wish to push.
Okay, I'm not going to disagree with that because I've watched it very closely. And I said, well, what are we supposed to be going with? See, the Constitution is your basic fundamental document for nation building.
Right.
And all these people talking about nation building. Well, then, what do you have it based on? Not what somebody say outside there, who wrote some things on one piece of paper and then say, sign this. Huh? Where did that come from? The Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas is the basic fundamental document for nation building. And if we don't understand that, we're going to run into all kinds of problems as we go down the road. All kinds of problems.
All right. Well,
and so let me just add this point while it's in my head. And I heard a partial discussion with Graham and the others, and that's good. I don't have a problem with that because the Constitution allows for freedom of expression, freedom to impart ideas and opinions without interference. So I'm not going to interfere with that.
Right.
All right? That's constitutional. I go very, very particular when it comes to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas because, you see, that's the document we ought to stand on. The Constitution of the Bahamas is never wrong. CEDAW could be wrong. The UN thing could be wrong. Some other agreement the Bahamas government signed could be wrong. But the Constitution is never, ever wrong. And people need to understand that. It is the supreme law. Ain't nothing higher than that. So don't talk no nonsense in my head about what this convention say, what that convention say, that people say this and that people say that, that nation did this, that nation did that. That's not important to me. And it's not important when it comes to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Bahamas. The Constitution is primary. It's first. It's supreme. So we're going to take somebody else's writing and say we should go by that, but the Constitution says something different. Because, see, the Constitution said it is null and void. It doesn't exist. To the extent of the inconsistency, it doesn't even exist. It's not even worth discussing. So why are we playing games with ourselves? That's why you have all this confusion, Ms. Malcolm.
That's a multi-million-dollar question right there. This is a game. This is a game.
It is a game. You see? So you got to wade through all of the crap that's out there and see what the harsh realities are, because there are some issues that affect other nations which have no bearing on the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. None whatsoever. But we need to get our people to understand how important that is.
So you could go and sign all kind of agreements.
All kind of agreements. But you didn't check what your Constitution says.
So, and we can get into the actual Constitution right now. But in a case where you have someone representing the government of the Bahamas who goes abroad to these conventions, etc., these conclaves, and they make mistake and they sign something that goes contrary to our Constitution, and then they come back home, and then they say, "Well, you know, we've signed on to this agreement."
That's correct.
Do the citizens of the country have any kind of legal ground to stand on if they decided to stand up against what has been signed internationally if it is contrary to our Constitution?
Of course they do.
So what would the collective be able to do at that point?
Article 24.1 of your Constitution speaks specifically to the powers of the citizenry of the country, which we seem not to understand how to use it.
Right.
Okay? Article 24.1, the collective will of a people. You just can't sit back and allow something that is totally contrary to your Constitution and then say, we don't have to go along with nothing. But a few people may know about these agreements because the rank and file Bahamians know nothing about them.
You only hear about them
after the fact. You only hear about them after the fact.
Right.
So that's a mistake the government is making. These individuals may have their own preconceived ideas. They have a right to that. I'm not getting into that. But when you talk about you signing something for me and for the nation, and it's not based on the Constitution, now that's a big problem for me. Because right there and then, that creates confusion. And that's why you find that there's this lack of understanding in our country. I hear all kind of crappy talk on the radio about what this one say, what that one say, what the next one say. But is that important? Are we interested in understanding what our own supreme law says in relation to these quote unquote agreements that have been signed? Because people keep pushing, well, you don't sign this, you don't sign that. What about our Constitution? Which is the legal supreme law of the land. Not CEDAW. CEDAW can say what they feel like saying or write what they feel like writing. But the mistake we are making is, I guess you're putting the cart before the horse. Because the people know nothing about these things. It may be in the psyche and mind of one or two individuals. Say, it looks good, I can sign it. That's your thinking. But the people didn't approve that. But that individual is supposed to be representing the Bahamian people. But the Bahamian people have had no discussion. And that's where the danger comes in. You're signing things. In fact, I heard some new things now they signed about certain chemicals. I said, where did that one come from?
Chemicals?
Yes. I heard a commercial on the airwaves. I said, no wonder this popped up.
Okay.
And I'm hearing some other things about this equality thing. And the commercial is extremely misleading. It's not truthful.
Okay, I haven't heard that one.
I heard it several times. I made sure I listened to it very carefully before I comment on it.
Okay.
But that's one of those things.
All right. So okay. So let's go back to where we left off at the last time you were here. We were in chapter 2. Chapter 2 of the Constitution, for those of you who don't know, deals with citizenship. We covered 3.1 the last time you were here, and we said we would begin 3.2 today. So let me read 3.2, and then we'll get in with the questioning. So Article 3.2 under Chapter 2 says, every person who, having been born outside the former colony of the Bahama Islands, is on 9th of July, 1973, a citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies shall, if his father becomes or would, but for his death, have become a citizen of the Bahamas in accordance with the provisions of the preceding paragraph, become a citizen of the Bahamas on the 10th of July, 1973. Let me read that again. They write these things in such a way that, anyway, let me read this again. Every person who, having been born outside the former colony of the Bahama Islands, is on July 9th, 1973, a citizen of the UK, United Kingdom, and colonies, shall, if his father becomes or would but for his death have become a citizen of the Bahamas in accordance with the provisions of the preceding paragraph, become a citizen of the Bahamas on 10th July 1973. For the sake of context, let me read the preceding paragraph. And this should be Article 3.1. Every person who, having been born in the former colony of the Bahama Islands, is on July 9th, 1973, a citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies, shall become a citizen of the Bahamas on July 10th, 1973. Okay, let's break this down. Persons born outside of the former colony of the Bahama Islands. For persons born outside of the former colony of the Bahama Islands, and this paragraph applies to any other citizen of the United Kingdom and colony, and as such eligible for citizenship, so in other words, persons, break down 3.2 for us, please. What does that say?
Okay. 3.2 speaks specifically to persons born outside of the former colony, Bahama Islands. It also speaks specifically to his father, not his mother,
right?
Not his daughter, not his sister, not his brother, but the father It says the preceding paragraph. What does the preceding paragraph say about the qualifications for the father to have for that particular personality born outside of the country, if that individual is prepared to apply to be a citizen of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas? That father would have had to be born in the former colony of the Bahama Islands. And on the 9th of July, 1970, see, these dates are very specific, you know.
Mhm.
We gotta pay attention, Ms. Malcolm, to detail. It specifically says has to be a citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies.
Mhm.
If he isn't that, then the person can't be no citizen. It's just that simple. See, you have to look at the details. And sometimes we have the language is written, you know,
Mhm.
you got to pull it apart.
Mhm.
I'm glad my man, Pa, sent me to school to learn English. Because he's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
Even when I talk to my sister about it, I say, Glennis, this thing is very deep.
It's not written in the most
No, it
clear
isn't. It isn't
language to
written clear.
understand.
And unfortunately, we may have to get our legislators to write things clearly so that the average person can understand. Because, see, Ms. Malcolm, it doesn't make any sense having a bunch of laws with all this legalese language in it, but they don't understand.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. But all the laws are being written. You look at them things they pass in the House of them, the same thing. But it specifically says the father would for his death. In other words, even if he dies, he was in the process with Article 3:1. That person born outside the colony and his father is in that predicament, that person could still become a citizen. See, there are very specific points right there because I listened to you as you read it and I
Mhm.
just smiled to myself.
Mhm.
But people overlook detail. The dates are very specific. The timing is very specific. His father, not Ima, not his sister, not his daughter. But we don't pay attention to detail. That's a weakness with Bahamian people. That's why we have these problems. In fact, in the preamble, it tells you some very specific things that we have to do to build a nation. If we can ignore that too and listen to some other writing from somebody else who got some other foolishness written down and say we must go by that, you got to be insane if you do that. That makes no sense. So, in order for the person to qualify, the Constitution is very specific, and you have to understand the specificness. Let me use that word there. Specification as outlined in the Constitution. And you're going to find, Ms. Malcolm, as we go through these articles, we get the third one, that's a different one again. For citizens of what? The United Kingdom and colonies under certain specific conditions for individuals to qualify. Because there are several different ways these people could qualify. And it specifically speaks, do you notice what it always said? United Kingdom and colonies.
Mhm.
See, we can understand the language. They ain't no nation, they're colonies. The United Kingdom is the nation. And of course, they did something, but we'll get to that point when we get to it. But with this particular one, Article 3:2 of your Constitution,
Mhm.
specifically speaking to persons born outside of the former colony, the Bahama Islands.
Right.
But any daddy, Iba, have to meet specific qualifications. Not Ima, not his sister, not the auntie, not the uncle. But people get confused, you know. His father would have to qualify under Article 3:1. Now, if he is in that process and he dies, that person could still
It's still
become a
apply.
citizen
Right.
if they wish.
Mhm.
You see, so I think in a lot of cases with Malcolm, you're not paying attention to detail. The date is very important. If he ain't no UK citizen as of July the 9th, 1973, he can't
Just don't
qualify.
apply to him.
You can't apply. You can find some other things in there too, which could prevent him from qualifying.
Mhm.
You see, so I believe that our persons here in the Bahamas, and I'm not even satisfied with some things I see even happening now, because I think that we are too slack when it comes to citizenship in this country.
Mhm.
You can't handle these things like candy. It becomes weightless after a while. What is the purpose of it? And then we who are genuine citizens, those Articles 3.1. See, that's how it started. See, I always tell people, you got to go back to where the thing started. How did the nation start? But if you ain't got 3.1, ain't nothing happening. Everything springs from 3.1. And then you go down the line accordingly.
Okay. Tell you what, let's take a quick break because it's already 2:34. Let's take a break.
There's a lot of time.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
We only get to the first question so far. And we're going to continue breaking down the
Yes, ma'am.
Constitution of the Bahamas as it relates to citizenship. That's the area of the Constitution that we're in right now.
Right.
Like and share the show. Let everybody know that Masterclass is back in session with Professor Sydney McArthur Walter Thompson, breaking down the Constitution of the Bahamas to make it easier for you to understand so you will know what your rights are. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, paint, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company. We're talking today with Professor Sydney McArthur Walter Thompson about the Constitution of the Bahamas. Specifically, we are in Chapter 2, Article 3.2. And that deals with who qualifies to become a citizen of the Bahamas through the father. And he would have just broken down in the last segment of the show what that means exactly. So the telephone number is to call if you have a question. And please keep your questions relative to what we're speaking about because we only have a limited amount of time and it's a lot of ground to cover. And I don't want us to be all over the place. So don't go to another section that we're not talking about right now. We're not going to accommodate that. Only accommodating questions that deal with what we're speaking specifically to right now. The telephone number is to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line to send us a text message, and text messages only, is 8010271, 8010271. Okay, so let's get back to Article 3.2 of the Constitution of the Bahamas. You broke it down very, very simply that the father of a person would have had to have been a citizen of the former United Kingdom or its colony or a colony of the UK by July 9th, 1973, to have been eligible to become a citizen of the Bahamas on July 10th, 1973, and therefore, according to Article 3.2, able to pass on that citizenship to their child born outside the country, correct?
If the father qualifies according to 3.1.
Right.
That's very important. Plus, the father has to be a citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies.
Okay. All right.
So you're correct. You're correct.
Okay. So I think you've made it very clear that this only applies to the father. So any question as to whether or not a person born outside the former colony of the Bahamas whose mother is a citizen of the UK and colony, can that person qualify?
No.
That's pretty straightforward. Okay. No.
That's correct.
All right. What about if a person's wife is a citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies?
0.
Okay. What if the person's grandfather? Can a person qualify if they're born outside of the former colony as a citizen through their grandfather?
No.
So your grandfather could be from France.
That's right.
And your father is somehow a UK citizen by July 9th, 1973. But you can't qualify through the grandfather, only through the father.
If the father.
Or let's do that the other way. If the grandfather was a citizen of the colony, and then for some reason he has a child who is not a citizen of the former colony, you can't qualify through the grandfather citizenship.
No.
Okay.
It specifically says the father. That's why it says the preceding article, Article 3.1. It refers back to that. Okay. So that is very, very. And see what I've noticed in the document is that it took time to put this together in simple, let me say, they put it in legal language. Okay, let's understand.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to pay attention to specific details. And unfortunately, those who were administering this didn't do that. There's an abundance of evidence to prove it. And that's the sad part. But it does not mean we can't correct it.
When you say those who administered it, what do you mean?
Those who are responsible for seeing to it that Article 3.2 is properly applied.
Okay, so you're not taking issue with the way it was written. You're just taking
no.
the way with issue with the way it was applied.
The way it was applied, yes. ma'am.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, that's important to note.
very important.
Okay, a person born outside the former colony who is a citizen of the UK and colonies, can he qualify?
Repeat that again, Ron.
A person born outside the former colony and is a citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies, can he qualify?
No.
Okay. A person born outside the former colony and his father is a citizen of the UK and colonies but was not born in the Bahama Islands. What about that person?
That person cannot qualify. Because it goes contrary to Article 3.1.
Wow. Okay.
Because remember now that you have other colonies out there.
Right.
And this passing on of citizenship is extremely important. The specification is he has to qualify according to Article 3.1. And if that's not in the cards, then that person born outside the country could not qualify.
Okay. So if the father of one who was born outside of the former colony of the Bahama Islands and his father was born in the former colony and is on July 9th, 1973, citizen of the UK and colonies, can such a one qualify?
You're talking about the former colony in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
No, repeat that again for me.
If the father of one who was born outside the former colony of the Bahama Islands and his father was born in the former colony and is on July 9th, 1973, a citizen of the UK and colonies, can such one qualify?
If the father is, yes.
Okay. All right. This is just, there's so many, variants that you need to consider.
Yes, you have to. You have to consider, because you see, we were a colony of the United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
The United Kingdom has many colonies. When you get into Article 3, you'll see.
Right.
I mean, the next section in there. You see, it goes on to something specifically different. But what I'm saying is that consideration had to be given to persons in those colonies. They're citizens of the United Kingdom and colonies. And some of them were in the Bahamas. And you're going to find that you didn't have that much of a problem with those people. You got problems with some other people who never, ever were part of the colonies.
Mm.
Now, that's a big problem. So I'm saying to you, Ms. Malcolm, something seriously went wrong. So how could it happen? Because you're going to find that quite a number of them who were in that category as UK citizens and of the colonies went back. Some stayed. They have a right to stay and apply if they wish.
Okay.
But we didn't have, and I'm looking at 50 years of experience since the country was founded. We didn't have any major problems with that. None whatsoever, even up to this day. Because the Constitution allows under specific regulations for those persons, if they desire now to apply, they could qualify.
Why do you think it's important that we pay close attention to all of these very specific details?
That's a good question, and I'll answer it this way. The reason for that is it would avoid a whole lot of confusion that you see in the Bahamas right now. It is because of the fact that those who were responsible for seeing to it that the law is properly applied is the mere fact that we have this confusion today. But had we done so from the beginning, we wouldn't have it. Now, what we need to do is start paying close attention, because some things are happening. We don't know nothing about it. You just hear Some people can be made citizens. We the hell who they are. We don't know who they are. We don't know where they're from.
I mean, you only got to open up the papers and you
Yes.
see so many people, the notification that they're about to,
But
be
you,
granted citizenship.
exactly, and that in itself is a problem. We don't even know when they're sworn in. You just hear the man say he's swearing X number of people. Who the hell these people are? Huh? People who can't even speak English. But you're swearing in people. We have no way of challenging it. You're making them citizens. Have they bought into the Bahamian lifestyle, the Bahamian way of life? Or people just want to go for a joyride on the Bahamas?
So there have been allegations of somehow, some way, passports and other Bahamian documents
Yes.
being sold to persons who wouldn't otherwise be able to qualify
Yes,
for citizenship.
yes.
If that is true, if that is in fact true, does possession of a passport for the Bahamas automatically make you a citizen of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas?
That's a good question. I'll put it this way. If you get it by fraud, it's contrary to the Constitution. That's not a valid document. Even they got the seal on it. There's no validity to that. That's fraud. You can't make fraud right. How could you do that? And see, that's a problem in our country. I can tell you from years of experience, people have come to me
Mm-hmm.
to apply, say they want to be citizens of the Bahamas. And I look at what they present before me. Fraudulent. You have people who were here who overstay their time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I say, what you doing here? 3-4 years later, they still here. What about immigration? Are they checking upon these people who they allowed to come in? They fly in, stamped in their passport, and 4 years later, they still here. You see, this has created a serious problem for the Bahamas. That's why we have the issues we are confronted with today. If you get something by fraud, false pretenses, that you don't qualify to be a citizen.
So the length of time, if you come to the country illegally, the length of
Yes.
time that you are allowed to stay here really doesn't make a difference as to whether or not you should qualify for citizenship. So in other words, I come into the country illegally
Yes.
and I evade immigration for 30 years. I have children here. I build a life here. As far as I'm concerned, this is my home. And then one day my luck ran out and immigration picked me up and I don't have any documents to show that I am legally, I'm here legally.
Yes.
Do I have any rights to appeal for citizenship based on the fact that I've been here for 30 years and I have children here and I have my life here and this is all I know for the last 30 years?
That's your problem. What does the Constitution say? See, it has to go back to the Constitution. Does the Constitution support that kind of crap?
Professor, people can say you cold.
No, but see, I have to be that way because the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. See, when you take the supreme law lightly, you can pay a heavy price for that, as we're paying today. I even know of a person who is related to me who was given citizenship in this country, all right,
Mm-hmm.
from another former colony which was already independent. How the hell you could be a citizen? That was no longer a colony at the time when this was done.
Mm-hmm.
How you could be a citizen? See, these are the mistakes that were made in this country, and they were never corrected. And that person have children in the Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
I know that person very well, and the family. All of that was done. Does that make it right? What does the Constitution say about it? See, we can't allow things to keep riding, because at some point we have to pay a price for it, and we're paying that price right now because we were careless with the instructions put in the Constitution, which is the supreme law.
We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good day, Lady Malcolm.
Hi.
And my neighbor, Professor Sydney McArthur Walter Thompson.
Good afternoon.
Got your name right.
Lady Malcolm, I heard you said something just now that if a person came here illegally and been here for 30 years and they caught one day and they don't have no kind of paperwork to say what it is, how do we know they ain't come yesterday? When they say, I've been here for 30 years, how do we know they ain't come last month or 2 years ago?
No, I'm talking about somebody who genuinely been here for 30 years, had a child here. The child is now 28 years old, whatever, because the people in that category.
Yes.
See,
I was asking a very specific question about a very specific circumstance.
That's
See, with no paperwork, that's their word against whatever the laws are against what they say. See, they need some type of paperwork. They could have bring them children with them. All kind of things could have happened. Children could have been born in the halfway. So there's a lot of circumstances involved in some of what I think should be done. If they ain't got no paperwork, they should be sent back. Thanks for taking my call.
All right. Thank you so much for calling.
I'm glad you mentioned your point, but he's talking about something totally different
Mm-hmm.
from what you said, right?
Mhm.
See, the thing is, if the Constitution of the Bahamas doesn't support it, it can't stand.
Right.
See, sometimes we want to operate on feeling. Oh, that person.
And there's a
Been
lot
there
of
too
emotion
long.
attached to this. Yeah. Yeah.
But see, we can't operate like that. You
Right.
don't run no nation like that.
Constitution ain't got nothing to do with your
It
emotions.
has nothing to do with your emotions.
Okay.
The law is the law. And that's our problem. Now, I heard what the caller said. And the thing is that the paperwork could be fraudulent. Because I've had people come to me with fraudulent papers and say, Daddy, I want this, I want that. I don't deal with fraud. If you are not according to the law, and I take that very, very seriously, I'm not going to do anything for you. You're not fit. And you got people in this country been here years after they should have been gone. What has happened to immigration? They haven't any way of checking on these people. And you see a big stamp right in the passport, the date when they supposed to come in. 4 years later, they're still here. So we have to do something about that. And those who got citizenship by fraud, they need to cancel them.
Wow. Okay, let's look at Article 3.3. I will read it, and then I want to ask you some questions about it. It says, every person who on 9th of July, 1973, is a citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies, having become such a citizen under the British Nationality Act 1948 by virtue of his having been registered in the former colony of the Bahama Islands under that act, shall become a citizen of the Bahamas on 10th of July, 1973, provided that this paragraph shall not to any citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies, provided that this paragraph shall not apply to any citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies who, A, who was not ordinarily resident in that colony on the 31st of December, 1972, or B, who became registered in that colony on or after the 1st of January, 1973, or C, who on the 9th of July, 1973, possesses the citizenship or nationality of some other country. Let me read that again, because that's a lot.
No, there's a lot in there. Yes, ma'am. You got to take it piece by piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'll read it again.
Uh-huh.
Article 3.3 says, every person who on the 9th of July, 1973, is a citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies, having become such a citizen under the British Nationality Act 1948 by virtue of his having been registered in the former colony of the Bahama Islands under that act, shall become a citizen of the Bahamas on July 10th, 1973, provided that this paragraph shall not apply to any citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies, A, who was not ordinarily resident in that colony on December 31st, 1972, B, who became registered in that colony on or after the 1st of January 1973, or C, who on July 9th, 1973 possesses the citizenship or nationality of some other country. Let's break that down.
Yes, there's a whole lot in there.
What is the British Nationality Act of 1948?
That was an act passed in the British Parliament. Remember now, at that time, there was an empire. The British were at the height of their empire all over the world. In fact, Britain controlled the sea gates of the world. And she had many colonies. And a way had to be found to police those colonies and to deal with those persons who were living in all those colonies.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have it's called the British Nationality Act. Remember, there's only one kingdom, United Kingdom and colonies. We were still a colony at that time.
Okay.
And so they had to find a way how to deal with all of these colonies, all of these persons, and different all around the world. See, the British were very skillful in what they did, you know. They were very particular about law and order. When you compare them with some other entities, you're going to find that the colonies under the British relatively enjoyed a far higher standard than those other colonies that were under some other entities. And of course, we're going to come to that as we go down the line. But the thing is that they had to find a way to deal with all of these persons who were in these colonies.
Right.
The British Nationality Act, 1948.
So are you suggesting then that that act, the British Nationality Act of 1948, was actually helpful to persons living in the former UK colonies more so than those who were living in other territories?
I agree with that, yes, because it was helpful. It was helpful to us.
How so?
See, the thing is that other territories under other entities, French, Spanish, and others, you will find that the British standard was far higher in most cases than in those other colonies. Colonies different from the British colonies. That's why you find today, Ms. Malcolm, people still trying to find a home. They've been independent from that time. Long time. They're still looking for a home.
You're talking about a territory like Haiti, I'm assuming.
Yes, that's one. But there's some others too. But they were under different administration. But even today, in 2022, for whatever reason, they're not satisfied. They're unhappy. They want a better way of life. And there's no problem in wanting a better way of life. But we had the problem here in the Bahamas, January the 10th, 1967. The problem in our country is we don't give our own leaders credit for what they did in helping us, Bahamians, to have a better standard.
To improve our standard of living, right?
Of course. We don't give them any credit. And the evidence is right there. The record is right there for all of us to look at and see. But we want to look at some other fellas who in some other places who we don't even know. And I'm not saying that they didn't do anything in those particular places. For example, Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was assassinated in April of 1968. The people of the Bahamas had achieved a whole lot. 67 was when he crushed the minority government. Majority government came January 10, 1967, well, 14 days later when Sir Lyndon was met up the government house to form a government. Those people in the United States couldn't even sit around the counter in the United States. They had white tap, black tap. In 67, And Martin Luther King was fighting for them. And people don't understand these things. But in Bahamas, it was different. We could have gone to Savoy. We could have sit to the restaurant. We didn't have that problem. Then in 68, unfortunately, he was assassinated. Well, then in 68, there was a general election. And the PLP won 28 seats in that election. All I'm saying is you saw tremendous growth from 67 to 68 in terms of the number of seats, because the PLP at that time was a very popular party.
Mm-hmm.
And the masses supported them. But we don't ever give credit to those who were here, who we know and are familiar with. But we never talk about them. We always want to talk about some other people, and I'm not knocking them for trying to do what they did.
Right.
But why overlook our own leaders here?
Well,
who've
the
done
truth
some
be
things?
told, MLK found much inspiration in the islands of the Bahamas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so this is the problem that we have even today in giving due recognition to Bahamians who've done good things to help build the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Why is that a problem? Why can't we recognize our own? But we are quick to jump on somebody's foreign bandwagon who we don't know. And right here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, that's why I am so grateful for the founding fathers of this nation, and my own grandfather and my own mother and father who were involved in the struggles, along with thousands of others, to make this place a better place. So I'm saying under the British system of governance, and there's an abundance of evidence to prove it, that people generally, even the lowest levels, had a better standard of living than other nations or other colonies that were under other entities. Like Haiti, 200 and something years later, they're still looking for a home. And they say they're independent. So there's a problem. And what's happening now today is atrocious over there. But they're still looking for a home. They want to find a place of rest where they could live peacefully. But Haiti is their home. But they're running somewhere else and creating problems for the Bahamian people and creating problems perhaps for other nations as well. But they have to fix that. We fixed ours in 67. Well, the same struggle that we had to have stability in this country, to put up institutions that respect, and I'm going to say this about the political parties here. See, when they lose, they just bow right out peacefully.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the last election we had, Ms. Malcolm. That was the most peaceful election I've ever seen from 67 up to now.
Mm-hmm.
Very peaceful. I prayed for God that that would be so.
That it continues, because that is our legacy,
No,
really.
See, now, when the people came here to talk about us, they never once mentioned that. The succession of successive elections in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, no violence, no people burning down no building and kicking up and chopping up one another like some other people do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I tell them plainly, you see some funny things happening in this country. There ain't no Bahamian with that. That is not the Bahamian way of life. It is not in his psyche. It is not in her psyche. I don't want nobody talking no foolishness about they are Bahamian. People purporting to be Bahamian. That's not true. Because Bahamians don't behave like that. Now, they have their weaknesses. They have their shortcomings, yes. But there are some things, Ms. Malcolm, that have been imported into this country, and people want to blame it and say Bahamian. Never was so. Because I know them. I know the Bahamian psyche, because I'm one of them. And we don't live like that. There are certain things Bahamians do not do. But there are others who want to blame Bahamians and say it's them. And it never was, because they don't understand Bahamian people.
Well, that's a powerful note to take a commercial break on.
Yes, ma'am.
My guest today on this Masterclass Monday on the Constitution is Professor Sydney McArthur Walter Thompson. And we're breaking down the Constitution bit by bit, so you can have a clear understanding of what the supreme law of the Bahamas says as it relates to you and your rights. This is a very important conversation, so I want you to like and share this show. Let everybody know that Masterclass is back in session. and make sure that they tune into this so that we can really understand what our rights are. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, paint, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here on this Masterclass Monday. We're breaking down the Constitution of the Bahamas for you to better understand. The telephone numbers for you to call if you have a question as it relates to what we're talking about today. 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line for text messages only is 801-0271, 801-0271. So right now we are in Chapter 2, Article 3.3 of the Constitution. And Article 3 pretty much deals with citizenship and who has the right to apply for citizenship after a certain amount of time based on whether or not their father was a citizen of the UK and became a citizen of the Bahamas on July 10th, 1973, etc. And so we're breaking down 3.3 now, which is quite detailed,
Yes.
as I would have read in the previous segment of the show. And I'm trying to get this in bite-sized pieces so that our listeners get a full understanding of what this supreme law means to them. So we talked about the British Nationality Act of 1948 and how that relates to our people who were members of the former colony of the United Kingdom. If one was registered under the Act, but was in another colony and a citizen of the United Kingdom, would that person be eligible to apply for Bahamian citizenship?
No.
Okay.
It would have to be the Bahamas itself. Now, under another colony, they could apply over there, but not here.
Okay, so I'm not sure of the year when the Turks and Caicos Islands and the Bahamas separated, because at one point they were all considered one, and then they decided to sort of separate from the Bahamas, and even today
Yes.
they remain a British colony.
Yes.
Whereas the Bahamas decided to go the route of independence. So, based on the date of when that separation occurred, and I really should Google that to find out when that was, is it possible that someone who was born in TCI at the time when they were a part of the Bahama colony, of the colonies of the Bahamas, the colony of the Bahamas, the Bahama Islands.
Yes.
Is it possible for a person who was born under TCI before the separation, could that person or their descendants now become citizens of the Bahamas?
They can apply, yes.
They can apply.
Yes. In fact, basically, you will find that they have a special thing in place for TCI. We've never had any major problems with Turks Island people. You've never heard the Bahamian people ever complain about the people from Turks Island. They haven't been trying to create any trouble in this country. If we could get all people to be like them, fine.
But aside from all of that, because like you just said, this has nothing to do with emotions or feelings.
Precisely.
It has to do with the Constitution.
What the Constitution
So how does the
says.
Constitution make it okay for a person in that category to apply to become a
Yes,
citizen of
they
the
can.
Bahamas?
They certainly can, without any problem whatsoever.
Is it because they were once a part of the Bahamas, or how does that work?
Well, see, they're a colony of the United Kingdom and colony.
Uh-huh.
And they're also citizens of the United Kingdom and colony.
Right.
And they were a part of us, right? Up to the time when they could apply. They still can apply.
Okay.
But even now, today, you must remember now, it still says United Kingdom and colony. So when we look at Turks Island, we look at Turks Island as a colony of the United Kingdom.
Which it still is.
Which it still is. So they can apply. They can apply for citizenship in the Bahamas.
Okay. So,
and I would expect most of them could qualify if they're interested now.
Right.
The door is open for them. So that's not a problem for them.
Okay. Does a UK citizen having become a resident of the former colony of the Bahamas on or after the 31st of January qualify as a citizen? And what is the significance of the 31st of January, 1973? What is the significance of that date?
31st of January, 1972?
It says 70.
Is it 70? What is it?
73. Let me read the article again.
Read it again. Yeah.
Well, no, you're right. It says, provided that this paragraph shall not apply to any citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies who was not ordinarily resident in that colony on the 31st of December, 1972, or...
Right. But let's stop right at that point there.
Okay.
The person not ordinarily resident, that means living in the colony. If you're not ordinarily resident here, you cannot qualify. You would have to be ordinarily resident in the colony called the Bahama Islands. You notice that they have some very specific things right in there.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not ordinarily resident in the colony, if you're off some other place, you ain't checking, but then you want to say you want to be a citizen. How the hell you could be a citizen?
So, what is the significance of the January date?
That is a cutoff date.
Because would
That
you
is a
have
cut-
to have been a resident for 6 months or?
Ordinarily resident up to that point, yes. Because the thing is that if you're not ordinarily resident here, that means you are living here. How can you be helpful to the colony or to be a citizen of that place? You're not ordinarily resident there. And of course, you have to be, this is under the British Nationality Act now. Okay? And part of the qualification standard is you have to be ordinarily resident in the former colony of the Bahama Islands. And then, of course, there's some other points in there. But that's a key point right there.
Okay. If a person is a citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies on July 9th, 1973, but was not naturalized in the former colony Bahama Islands, can that person qualify for citizenship?
No. Because that's part
Because
of the qualification too. That's part of the qualification as well.
okay.
You see, because you were not, see, the thing is, you have to have that attachment through the British Nationality Act, right?
Mm-hmm.
To that particular colony, which in this case is the Bahama Islands. Just like you notice with the first two, one say you're born in the former colony. Two, the next one say you're born outside of the former colony.
Mm-hmm.
But there are specific qualifications. Now, under this one, see the British Nationality Act, you have to be ordinarily resident, one of the qualifying standards, and to be naturalized in there.
So break this down for us then. What does one have to do to qualify for citizenship under the British Nationality Act of 1948?
Right. Okay. What you'd have to do is one. you have
Make
to-
sure you're talking into the microphone now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. You have to be ordinarily resident in the Bahama colony. You have to be naturalized in that particular colony, which would be the Bahama Islands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Ordinarily resident there. And you have to be a citizen of the United Kingdom and colonies in order for you to apply or to be eligible to apply for citizenship under that particular portion of the Constitution, the British Nationality Act of 1948. So you must understand that, people were under different circumstances. Remember now, you have the United Kingdom and you got all these colonies. But if you're ordinarily resident in some other colony, how could you come now and say you want to be a citizen of the Bahamas? You're not ordinarily resident there. That's one of the qualifying standards you have to have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you're not naturalized here. But you're naturalized somewhere else. How you could be a citizen here? See, that's what I keep saying to the Bahamian people. There are some very specific things that the Constitution says you must have. But if you ain't got them, how you going to qualify? And like I said, for the mad rush for citizenship, a lot of these things were overlooked. That's why we got all this confusion we have today. With one nation talking about they have a right to be here.
So, based on what you're saying today, it seems that many persons who have been granted citizenship in the country were granted citizenship in the country not based on what the Constitution of the Bahamas allows, it seems.
Let me put it to you
So,
this way.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, okay, make your
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Make your point.
No, you said it seems,
Uh-huh.
but it is.
Uh-huh.
there's an abundance of evidence to prove it. That's why we have all this confusion, Ms. Malcolm.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, knowing the Constitution, knowing what it says specifically in each article of citizenship, the evidence is right in your face. I tell you, it happened to one of my family members who was a part of an independent nation, not no colony. Where do you think they're going with that? But this mistake was made decades ago. Unfortunately, that particular person deceased just recently. All I'm simply saying, Ms. Malcolm, is this. That is why we are so all mixed up in the Bahamas in 2022. We have to correct this foolishness.
But how? How do you correct it if you've got thousands potentially of people who, for whatever reason, were able to gain citizenship in this country who may not have otherwise qualified based on what the Constitution says, and it's of no fault of theirs, but a fault of, as you say, persons who were responsible for administering at what the overseeing what the Constitution says as it relates to citizenship. So you can't blame the person who gave the citizenship. They do whatever they got to do. But the blame falls then at the feet of those who either knowingly or unknowingly ignored the Constitution of the Bahamas and granted the citizenship anyway. So how do you now correct that? Is it possible to correct that?
Ms. Malcolm, if we're serious about correcting error, we can correct the error,
But how? What do you do?
It has to be, we got to go right back from the beginning. Because a lot of those things got to be scrutinized. They need to have a special committee specifically designed to scrutinize all that nonsense and foolishness which went on before. And a determination has to be made. You can't just leave it the way it is and keep giving out more and more citizenship to these persons who may not necessarily qualify to be citizens of the country. All you do is compounding the problem. So if we're not going, the only way we can correct it, and let me say this to layman people, there's only one document that we have to correct it. That's the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, which is the supreme law. Any other thing is null and void. See, we can't just keep complaining about the problem, because it's a big problem.
Very big problem.
Very big. We had one fellow talking foolishness and nonsense, but we don't have no problem, no crisis. This shows you the thinking of those particular personalities.
Boy, if this is a crisis, I will see it if it gets to the point of crisis.
I wouldn't want to see it either. The only way you can correct it is through the Constitution. They need to have, and I'm going to suggest this right now, a special committee.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind working on that one. Because you have to be very strict when it comes to your Constitution. Errors were made, and we've allowed them to continue for 50 years. We've not corrected them yet. Still going on, right in your face. Are we going to keep closing our eyes and keep handing out citizenship like candy? And it's a big, big problem now with an entity. And notice how you were going down the line with the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to find as we go through all those articles, ain't nothing in that Constitution that speaks specifically to a nation. Never was a part of the Commonwealth of the UK. Never was.
Now, I've had some lawyers reach out to me and after the show with Graham,
yes.
And they were saying that in essence, I don't want to put the wrong words in their mouth, but they were taking issue with that point about, and I think it went back to Article 7, where they were saying that Article 7 opens up that opportunity.
For who?
For persons who were not born in a former colony of the UK, who were born in a territory Like you just said, they were never part of the UK. So how they get in this conversation?
Exactly.
So, but does Article 7 address a person who fits in that category? Because they were saying that Article 7 deals with that.
I'm not going to disagree that Article 7.1 and 7.2. Tell them look at 7.2.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And let me just say this while since you brought it up. It's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the discussion. That is good. The thing is, you can't have a bunch of people coming up on your shores, and at some point down the road, they came here illegally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And ducking and hiding, just like in Abaco now, they say the thing 3 times the size it was.
You better talk 4.
Or 4 times. Okay.
Well, they say 3, but from what I'm hearing on the ground, it's at least 4 times the size.
Yeah, okay. But what I'm saying to you is that with this particular situation, we have to deal with it very wisely because you're going to have more confusion if we continue the way we're going now. And it's going to break out into something that we don't necessarily need to have. Like I said, the last election was very peaceful. The most peaceful one I ever saw from 67. And I watched all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm saying is that the Bahamian people got to learn to understand. We got to stand up for our country. And we just can't settle for any and everything. It can't be, see, I don't want this constitution to be where, because I don't like this, I don't like that, it just wraps around my finger.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of document is no good. That doesn't make any sense. So here we got a problem with an entity that never ever was a part of the United Kingdom and colonies. Check all the articles and speak to citizenship. Never once does it ever come up. Now, 7.1, yes, children who were born here are persons who were here legally in your country.
Right.
That's a whole different kettle of fish altogether.
Keyword is legally.
Because the Constitution, you ask those lawyers, ask them, can the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas support anything that's illegal? If the answer is no, then you ain't got no debate. You have nothing to stand on. But if this document supports illegality, then I can take it right now and throw it in the garbage because I don't need it. It's worthless. See, we got to learn to think. Yes, 7.1, we can get to that. And I'll deal with that when I get to it. But the point is, we have to look at what the Constitution says. And you notice in all the 3 ones we'll be covering now, very specific details for people to qualify to be citizens, man. And unfortunately, like I said, with a relative of mine who got citizenship in this country, and that particular person was not a colony at the time. See, we got to understand this. It says United Kingdom and colonies. Well, you ain't no colony. So where you think you're going? You say you're independent. You got your independence. You're no colony. See, these are the mistakes that were made, Ms. Malcolm, and it boils me up when I see people talking foolishness and nonsense. But the problem has to be corrected. We can't just keep sitting here, complaining about it, doing nothing about it. And the government of Bahamas has that responsibility. And the citizens need to put pressure on the government of Bahamas to correct it. And if they know how to correct it, they'll give them advice. I'm prepared to give them advice based on the Constitution. Because anything else outside of that is null and void. The only way you can correct this immigration problem is to deal with it constitutionally. No other way would be accepted.
Okay, we're gonna take a break, y'all. This getting deep.
Very deep. They ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh my
Let them
goodness.
stick around a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think we
We're
may
gonna
be
go-
able to start Article 4 next. I think we may
Yes.
have time to do that. Yeah.
We're gonna go into some very deep waters.
Well, yeah.
Very deep.
Yeah, this ain't no
This is nothing to play with.
this ain't no snorkeling. You better
Because
get your deep water gear out.
you know, even though I have known about Ms. Malcolm, every time I review, I look at it, I see,
You learn more.
learn. Oh yes, I do. Oh yes, I do learn more.
All right, we're going to do exactly that. Learn more about the Constitution on the other side of the break. This is GPS on Global 99.5 FM. Stay with us.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, tints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here, along with Professor Sydney McArthur Walter Thompson On this Masterclass Monday, we're breaking down the Constitution of the Bahamas. If you have a question, the telephone numbers to call are 3260271, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line to send a text message is 8010271. 8010271. I have somebody sending a message on WhatsApp that says, how did Haitian immigrants get status coming out of Grand Bahama? I'm not sure I understand the question. Let me look at it again. How did the Haitian immigrants get status coming out of Grand Bahama? I'm Grand Bahama is part of the Bahama. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what that means.
Okay, so I know, Professor Thompson, you've been at this for a long, long, long time.
That is correct.
And it seems now that there is this surge of interest in understanding our Constitution that has not been there for the last several decades. And I dare say that one of the reasons why persons were allowed to get away with doing this without necessarily following the Constitution is because there has been a lack of interest in this topic, understanding fully the Constitution. And so, knowledge is power.
Yes, it
So
is.
if I don't have the knowledge, then you could run roughshod over me as much as you want to. And if I don't know any better.
Yes.
So what do you think is the big difference between today and the past several decades as it relates to this surge of interest in our Constitution? What do you believe it is?
Well, that is a very good question. And I'm going to answer it this way. I've seen some things nationally that have pushed the Bahamian people in that direction to question some things in this country,
Mm-hmm.
why it has been going on, and also pressure from the outside by foreign entities that are trying to push the Bahamian people in a direction that they don't want to go. So they're resisting, and that's good. I like that. I like the fact that the interest, the surge of interest, it couldn't come at a better time. I'm delighted. I tell people that all the time. Having worked hard over the years, and there was no impact, none whatsoever. People paid no attention. I am going to say this Constitution was never, ever widely taught in this country. Never. Not in the church, not in the schools, nowhere. It was just sitting there. It wasn't hidden. It was always available.
Hidden in
They put
plain
it-
sight.
Yeah, in plain sight, hidden in plain sight. That's a good description. That's a good description of it. Because, see, I got interested because in 1971,
Mm-hmm.
I just happened to go to check a lawyer out to seek some advice on a matter that I had at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Malcolm, I didn't know all these things was coming after this. Had no idea.
Yeah, because 71 was a different Bahamas than it is
It
today.
different was.
Mhm.
But then I needed to understand, because they say the fellow's supposed to know the law.
Right.
I said, okay, fine, let me go and see what he has to say. Miss Malcolm and I came out of his office. You know what my mind told me? You need to know the law for yourself.
Okay.
But then I said, well, we got all kind of law around here. Real estate law, national insurance law, but that came in 72. Laws relating to crime and all that. I said, well, what should I do? And I had to think about it very seriously. When I came to see the Constitution being the supreme law of the Bahamas, I said, that's it right there.
That's the one you need
That,
to study.
oh, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Because, see, when you know the supreme law
All else got to fall under that.
Ms. Malcolm, you took the words right out of my mouth. All got to fall under that. And I always look at the law in light of the supreme law. And I could tell you at a glance, just read a little of it. I could tell at a glance, that ain't constitutional. I'm delighted that I did, but I didn't know that I was going to be doing what I'm doing today. Never thought of it. I just wanted information I could understand for myself. I have people calling me all the time on constitutional questions, and I tell them plainly, do not ask me for my opinion on anything, because that can't help you. If you want a constitutional answer, and I understand and know it, fine, because I'm backing down. When I say anything publicly about the Constitution, I have done my homework. I have done my studies, and I don't back down. If you ask me a constitutional question, and Mr. Thompson does not know the answer, because there are no easy answers, I will say Mr. Thompson does not know. I'm not afraid to say that. But I'll look into it. And sometimes it takes time to get what you need to do. So the thing is, the Constitution being supreme, that's what I went into very deep. And so I'm in a position now to assist many of my Bahamian people properly with knowledge, with understanding of the supreme law of the land. See, that's why my approach, when I hear others, particularly the average Bahamian, I don't ridicule things that they say. I'm disappointed that you have other people who ought to know better talking foolishness and nonsense. To these Bahamian people who want to know, I am so delighted that that's Bahamians, you all keep the surge up now. We got to make this thing big because we have some changes to make, some real changes. I can be right there when the changes are made. I can be pushing them and edging them along to do it because, see, I know better. Many of our brothers and sisters don't know any better. We have to help them. A person like me have to help them. I am tested all the time with constitutional questions. I never get tired talking about the Constitution. But I am delighted to see, even today, Bahamians taking an active interest in what the supreme law says. Because of those 2 points that I see happen: 1, internal pressure; 2, pressure from the outside. And there are people who want to push the Bahamian people into something they don't want to go to. And I'm happy for that. See, the Bahamian people, the psyche, and I don't want to talk no foolishness about some things of Bahamian when it isn't. I know the Bahamian spirit because I'm one of them. There's some things Bahamians ain't gonna budge to. They can tell you no, they ain't doing it. They ain't going along with it. And they'll be stubborn as a mule. And that's a good thing for the Bahamian people. That's why I refer to the last election. Extremely peaceful, and I understand a lot of young people turned out. In fact, I was on air, and I told them to come out.
I was kind of disappointed, though, because when I say disappointed, I'm talking about the numbers of young people that turned out. Because prior to the election, everybody was saying that this election was going to be decided by the millennial voters, by the younger voters, because they had the numbers.
Yes, they do.
And too many of them didn't even bother to show up.
Yes.
So if they're not willing to participate at that level, what then can we do when we're talking about understanding our Constitution to demand change?
That's a good question. Ms. Malcolm, I'm going to give it to you simple, and for the audience as well. The young people always had the majority from the time they were able to vote in 1972.
Okay.
Always had it. We have to help them. They want change, but they need help in being guided and directed. See, young people like me, I have to help them. A lot of things they don't understand and they don't know. They don't know our history. But we have to help them to understand what went on before they came on the scene. So we have a lot of young people, and I'm disappointed that we're losing too many males in this country. We got to find a way how to deal with that.
Yeah.
I'm very disappointed as a young person myself to see so many disappearing under my feet. I always tell people that all the time. I talk to the males in this country, say, listen, we got to do something about this.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, we have to help the young people to see that the Constitution, being the way it is, gives them real power in their hand to bring change. Now, they may not understand how that works. And I can understand the frustration, what people have seen in past elections with this one, with that one, the next one. Sometimes with Malcolm, we get frustrated because of what others are doing,
Right.
instead of concentrating on what we should do. My concentration today is to help the people to understand constitutionally how they can bring change. Because you see, that's the valid way to go.
Right.
And the country would be benefited tremendously. Because we need change in this country. The things that are happening right now, we have to make some real changes. But the Bahamian people have to understand how to bring change. They need to know what's in that Constitution. They need to know a lot of things, articles to talk about the Queen. That's another thing again. You know, the Queen is off the scene now.
Right. Right.
But there are many articles that speak to the Queen. And as I understand the Constitution, ain't nothing in there could change relating to the Queen unless there's a referendum. You can't do nothing with it unless there's a referendum. And people need to consider that. And that's another issue. But I just
Yeah,
want to
you're
mention that.
trying to open up a serious can of
Oh,
worms there.
well, okay, fine. But it is my duty to tell the Bahamian people the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody want to challenge it, fine, challenge it. But you better know what you're talking about. Bring the proof. Because I stick rigidly on the Constitution because it is never, ever wrong. It is always right.
I know I said that we would have time to start 4, but it doesn't make sense because we've only got 10 minutes left in the show. So I'd rather start Article 4 during the next show. But
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have to ask you this. You mentioned external factors and internal factors that are
Yes.
making it difficult for us to solve this problem. Let's talk about some of the internal factors.
What has happened with the internal factors? One, there were people who were saying to me, Professor, why was the Constitution not taught in schools?
Mm-hmm.
Well, 50 years has gone by and still in the schools. Ask those who you gave the authority to run this country. Ask them why. The ministers of education, the prime minister, but particularly those two groups right there, the prime ministers and the ministers of education.
Mm-hmm.
Ask them why. Now, say I'm waiting for them to put nothing in those schools. Because the Constitution is available to the Bahamian people. We just have to use it. If a government fails to do, then it is the duty of the citizenry to act. Or you compel a government to do the right thing. We have not been doing that. Because the people don't know it in the first place. So how could they fight effectively if you don't know what you're standing on? If you had 100,000 like me, this country won't be the way it is now. It would change instantly. Because people have knowledge, they have power in their hand, and the Constitution gives you the collective power that you need to bring change. And I tell people all the time, it has to be done in cooperation with others. You can't be personal about this. It takes the collective will, Article 24(1) of your Constitution.
But when you are, Professor, talking about big money, which obviously is surrounding this immigration question,
Yes.
big money. We ain't talking no little peanuts
You
gallery
better
now.
believe it.
We talking big money involved in this. And we're also talking about political influences. What do I mean by
Yes.
that? You know, every election we see the videos popping up about I'm one of you and
Yes.
use my people and speaking in Creole and doing whatever you got to do to get them votes.
Exactly.
So around election time, citizenship start handing out like
Yes,
candy,
like candy. Yes, ma'am.
right? Because
Yes,
I'm trying
ma'am.
to secure that block of votes.
Yes.
So you've got that. And then you've got this whole situation of money.
Yes.
And if you follow the money and see who is benefiting from this, because
Exactly.
people are definitely benefiting
Benefiting, yes.
from this.
Yes.
I think the last time C. Allen was on the show, he was talking about when you really look at the amount of money that these merchants are saving by getting cheap labor
Yes.
through the immigration situation, you're talking billions of dollars that are remaining in somebody's pockets. So you're dying a little bit of money.
That's right.
So when you are up against those two alone, the political situation and the financial situation, how in the world do you combat that combination?
That's a good question. And I'm going to answer it this way. As I tell people all the time, 51% or more. All we need is 51% or more of the people to become righteous in their dealings, one with another. Then the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is headed for progress. You could crush big money. You could crush the political situation. That's 51%. That's all you need. Let the 49, they won't go with them, but that's fine. You all keep them. 51% or more of the people, those living in Engliston, those living in Centerville where I live, those living in Nassau Village, the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. See, they're the ones that have the real power in their hand, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't realize that. They think, oh, ain't nothing I can do about it. Say you stay right there, ain't nothing you can do about it. You have to understand the power that God has made possible to you to bring change. You know how many countries around the world wish they could go to the poll and vote? And we have it. Our founding fathers and mothers did a lot of hard work to get us where we are today. And you just say, see what they're doing? But they want you to be looking at them. And you will notice that political parties are not compelled by law to disclose. All these little charities around who are trying to do something to help poor people, they got to disclose. And I have no problem with that. I have no difficulty with that. But how come the political parties are an exception to the rule?
Not the politician, but the party.
Yes, the political parties.
Now that's an interesting question.
So that is the question we have to say to the government of the Bahamas. But how come? That's not fair.
So you're talking campaign finance reform.
Campaign finance reform, which they have been telling us for years. Ain't seen nothing yet.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bahamian people have got to get to the point where they begin to question seriously the actions of the government of the Bahamas. Because we have a responsibility to do that, to protect our interests. That's what Article 24.1 is all about, among some other things they say in there. But that phrase, that last phrase in Article 24.1 is where the key is for people to open up and begin to act on some things that they need to act on today. That's why I'm hoping these constitutional things said on the air and other places will be helpful to the Bahamian people. Because see, I want change too. And I can be right there helping them to bring the change. Because that's important. When change comes to the majority of the people, they benefit. It cannot be that you have a couple of people making billions of dollars. Because you see, the Constitution says, no man, woman, or child shall ever be slave or bondsman to anyone. You know, we ain't achieved that yet, you know. That's one of the main key principles for nation building. And we got all kinds of problems with labor in this country, this, in spite of what our former leaders have done, and they did a commendable job. It's a fight. Because you got some smart alecks out there who want to use any kind of funny way to mislead and deceive the average person. We need more people to come on board to help the Bahamian electorate to understand the power they have in their hand, how to choose persons to send to the House Assembly, because we got to make some changes in that area. But you cannot wait for those whom you've given power to, and you have evidence in your hand. You can't tell me anything about them fellows who've been there before. Say they're coming up with this, they're coming up with that. Mouth could say anything. We have hardcore evidence of how those who were given authority to run this country, how they ran it. Did they run it under the ground? Were things fair to the Bahamian people? Are we solving national problems? What national problems have we solved? What constituency problems have we solved? I look at my own constituency, Centerville, and some things need to be done in there. The lifestyle of those people have not improved over the last 25 years.
We gotta go, Professor. The
Oh,
man
you come to that.
playing music.
Oh, okay. I didn't. Sorry about that.
Less
This
than a
is
minute to
Luther.
4.
Yeah.
Okay, we can pick up at Article 4
Article 4. We'll be ready for
next
that.
week, Monday.
Next week,
God
yes.
spare life.
God spare life, yeah.
Thank you so much as always. My time is gone, people. We got to get out of here. And so on behalf of all of us here at Global 99.5 FM, I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Masterclass Monday on the Constitution. Like and share the show.
Yes, ma'am.
We got to get the information out.
Yes.
Until then, tomorrow, same time, same place. Take care and have a good afternoon.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the operators of this radio station.
This is 99.5 Global FM, your number one source for R&B in the Bahamas. Yeah.